Have you ever heard a story so incredible that it almost feels like fiction? Well, this one might just take the cake. Imagine living what seems like the perfect life, successful career, loving marriage, only to discover that everything you believed in was a lie. When Jennifer found out her husband, Garrett, was cheating on her with her best friend Fiona, the betrayal cut deep. But instead of walking away, Jennifer decided to get even in a way that would leave everyone speechless. What unfolded next was a whirlwind of crime, passion, and choices that would change their lives forever. If you've ever wondered what drives someone to cross the line from heartache to revenge, this story will not only captivate you, but also make you question just how far you would go when pushed to your limits. Jennifer and Garrett's story started like something out of a dream. They met in 2010, and their whirlwind romance quickly evolved into a marriage that many would describe as incredible. Their love seemed unbreakable, and they were not just partners in life, but also in ambition. Both soared in their respective careers, achieving success that others could only envy. Yet, with time, their dedication to work began to take precedence over their emotional connection, subtly creating a distance that neither noticed until it was too late. In the early days, they were inseparable, sharing dreams, hopes, and everything in between. They built a life that others admired, a picture-perfect marriage that seemed untouchable by the challenges of the world. But as their careers flourished, the very success they once celebrated together started to pull them apart. The long hours, the late-night meetings, and the constant chase for the next big achievement began to erode the time they spent together. It's a common story. Many find themselves so engrossed in their professional life that the emotional ties at home start to loosen. For Garrett, work became a refuge, a place where he felt accomplished and needed. Jennifer, on the other hand, found herself alone more often, missing the connection they once had. This is a familiar pattern in many incredible success stories, where the pursuit of professional achievements overshadows personal relationships. They both began to drift into their own worlds, unaware of how the small moments of neglect were slowly unraveling the fabric of their marriage. It's a silent crime of emotional neglect that often goes unnoticed until it's too late. The cracks in their marriage were small at first, almost invisible. But like any crack, if left unattended, it eventually widens. The incredible love story that began with so much promise was now at a crossroads, with both Jennifer and Garrett standing on opposite sides, each feeling the growing distance, but unsure how to bridge it. This silent drift sets the stage for a series of events that would soon turn their lives upside down, leading to a story that neither could have predicted. Fiona's arrival was like a quiet storm that began with innocent friendship and ended in chaos. Jennifer, always welcoming, invited her new neighbor into their lives, unaware of the incredible impact this would have. Fiona, recently divorced, seemed harmless, but loneliness has a way of creating connections where they shouldn't exist. Her friendship with Jennifer was genuine at first, but as time went on, a different kind of bond began to form between Fiona and Garrett. What started as small talks over coffee evolved into something far more dangerous, as they found in each other the attention they both craved. Garrett, overwhelmed by the pressures of success and a marriage that had lost its spark, was particularly vulnerable. Fiona, with her own wounds from a failed marriage, seemed to understand him in ways that Jennifer no longer did. Their affair wasn't just about physical attraction, it was a meeting of unmet needs, a crime against the trust that once held Jennifer and Garrett together. The incredible secrecy of their relationship only fueled their passion, creating a hidden world where they could escape from their realities. In this secret space, they found comfort, not realizing the impending storm their actions would unleash. Jennifer, still oblivious to the affair, noticed a change in her husband but couldn't put her finger on it. Garrett became more distant, his mind seemingly elsewhere, even when they were together. The late-night texts, the unexplained absences, all began to add up, creating a web of suspicion that Jennifer could no longer ignore. But Fiona was still there, playing the role of the supportive friend while secretly betraying her at every turn. This triangle of trust, love, and deception was spiraling out of control, leading to consequences none of them could foresee. As Fiona and Garrett's affair deepened, the tension in Jennifer and Garrett's home became palpable. Every conversation felt strained, every glance loaded with unspoken accusations. It was only a matter of time before the truth would come to light, and when it did, the fallout would be devastating. But in their incredible blindness, Garrett and Fiona continued to believe they could keep their crime a secret, unaware that the stories they were writing with their actions would soon explode into a tragedy that would change their lives forever. Jennifer's intuition had always been sharp, but the subtle shifts in Garrett's behavior stirred something deeper within her. The unexplained late nights, the sudden interest in his appearance, all were signs that something was amiss. Her once incredible marriage now felt like a carefully constructed lie, and the growing distance between them only fueled her suspicion. She began to observe him more closely, noting the inconsistencies in his stories, the moments when he seemed miles away, even when he was right next to her. It was this nagging feeling, this quiet crime against her peace of mind, that drove her to take action. Driven by the need to uncover the truth, Jennifer decided to follow Garrett one evening, her heart pounding with a mixture of fear and determination. It didn't take long for her worst fears to be confirmed. There, in the dim light of a secluded restaurant, she saw him with Fiona, their body language speaking volumes. The betrayal hit her like a tidal wave, drowning her in a sea of anger and heartbreak. In that moment, the incredible love she once felt for Garrett was overshadowed by a burning desire for revenge. The crime of their affair wasn't just against their marriage, it was against everything she believed in. Confronting Fiona was inevitable, and when Jennifer finally did, the tension was electric. Fiona, caught off guard, tried to downplay the situation, but Jennifer's fury couldn't be contained. The friendship they once shared was now a battlefield, with each woman standing on opposite sides of a broken trust. But Jennifer's revenge wouldn't stop with Fiona. She needed Garrett to feel the same betrayal she felt, to understand the pain of seeing the person you love with someone else. And so, she turned her attention to Dominic, Garrett's best friend, believing that seducing him would be the ultimate payback. But revenge is a double-edged sword, and Jennifer's plan didn't unfold as she had hoped. Dominic, loyal to Garrett, rejected her advances and instead revealed everything to his friend. This betrayal within a betrayal set the stage for an explosive confrontation between Jennifer and Garrett, where years of suppressed emotions and unspoken resentments came to the surface. In that heated moment, Jennifer's rage overcame her, leading to an incredible tragedy that would change their lives forever. The crime of her actions, driven by hurt and betrayal, would leave a permanent scar, one that no amount of regret could ever erase. Jennifer's plan for revenge was as calculated as it was desperate. She believed that by seducing Dominic, Garrett's best friend, she could inflict the same kind of pain that had torn her apart. The idea of turning the tables, of making Garrett feel the sting of betrayal, was almost intoxicating. Yet as she approached Dominic with her intentions masked by charm, she didn't account for his loyalty. What Jennifer thought would be an incredible maneuver in her personal crime of passion turned out to be a disastrous miscalculation. Dominic, sensing something was wrong, didn't fall for Jennifer's advances. Instead, he confronted her, pushing her to confess her true intentions. The shock of his rejection stung Jennifer, but it was his next move that truly set the stage for chaos. Dominic, bound by a sense of duty to his friend, went straight to Garrett with the truth. The very person Jennifer had hoped to use in her scheme now became the one to unravel it. This unexpected turn left Jennifer vulnerable, her plan exposed before it even had a chance to succeed. The confrontation between Jennifer and Garrett was nothing short of explosive. What began as a heated argument over trust and betrayal quickly escalated into something far darker. Years of unresolved tensions and simmering resentments boiled over in an instant. Garrett, feeling doubly betrayed by both his wife and his best friend, lashed out in anger. Jennifer, cornered and overwhelmed by the consequences of her actions, saw no way out. In a moment of uncontrollable rage, she grabbed a gun, and the situation took an incredible turn for the worse. The crime she committed in that instant was a tragic culmination of all the hurt, anger, and despair that had built up between them. The shot that echoed through their home wasn't just a crime against Garrett, it was a crime against everything they once shared. The love, the dreams, the life they had built together, all shattered in an instant. As Garrett fell, so did the last remnants of Jennifer's sanity. What had begun as a quest for revenge had spiraled into a nightmare, one from which there was no escape. The reality of what she had done began to sink in, but by then, it was too late. The incredible weight of her actions pressed down on her, leading her into the final chapter of this tragic story. In the aftermath of that fateful night, Jennifer found herself trapped in the cold reality of her actions. The crime she committed wasn't just a legal issue, it was a profound moral failure that would haunt her forever. As she was taken into custody, the gravity of the situation began to settle in. The trial that followed was nothing short of a spectacle, drawing public attention to the incredible fall from grace of a woman who once seemed to have it all. Jennifer's face became a symbol of regret, her story a cautionary tale of how quickly a life can unravel when consumed by anger and betrayal. The courtroom was filled with tension as the details of her crime were laid bare for all to see. Every moment of her life, every decision that led to that tragic night was dissected in excruciating detail. Jennifer, once so determined to inflict pain on Garrett, now found herself at the mercy of a legal system that showed no compassion. Her confession, tinged with deep remorse, did little to sway the jury. The impact of her actions was too severe, too final for forgiveness. Yet in her testimony, there was a flicker of humanity, a recognition of the incredible pain she had caused, not just to Garrett, but to everyone who had been touched by their story. As the verdict was read, Jennifer's fate was sealed. The years that lay ahead of her were filled with the solitude of a prison cell, where the only company she would have was her regret. The life she once knew, filled with success and love, was now a distant memory, overshadowed by the crime that had destroyed everything. Her story, once a tale of passion and ambition, had become a somber reminder of the destructive power of unchecked emotions. It was a tragic end to what could have been a remarkable life, and the incredible weight of her choices would be hers to bear for the rest of her days. In the quiet moments after the trial, Jennifer was left with nothing but her thoughts. The regret that consumed her was overwhelming, a constant reminder of the irreversible consequences of her actions. What started as a desire for revenge had led to a crime that shattered lives, including her own. In the end, there was no victory, no satisfaction, only a profound sense of loss and the realization that some mistakes can never be undone. The incredible story of Jennifer and Garrett was now etched in history, a tragic tale of love, betrayal, and the high cost of vengeance. After hearing Jennifer's incredible story, one can't help but wonder, what would you do in her shoes? It's easy to judge from the sidelines, but when trust is shattered, emotions can drive us to unthinkable actions. Now think about your own life. What are the boundaries you've set? How would you respond if those boundaries were crossed? This isn't just a tale of betrayal. It's a stark reminder of the power of our choices and the consequences that follow. If this story has made you reflect, then it's time to take control of your own narrative. Ask yourself, what would you do differently? Share your thoughts in the comments, and if you're ready to dive deeper into stories that challenge your perspective, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. There's so much more to explore, and you won't want to miss it.